This is a moment that demands a frank and honest assessment about where we stand and, more generally, the safety of women. Let me be very clear. There is no excuse for this alleged behavior. It is systematic and pervasive. Women cannot achieve equality in the workplace or in society until there is a reckoning and a taking of responsibility.
Colleagues of Charlie Rose sounding off this morning on CBS. There's Nora O'Donnell, and this after several allegations were made public about the anchor Charlie Rose. CBS and PBS both suspending Rose after 8 women reported unwanted advances and lewd phone calls, women who worked for Charlie Rose. Meanwhile, on Capitol Hill, more sexual harassment claims coming to light. Another accusing Senator Al Franken of groping her 7 years ago. And this new report that Congressman John Conyers once settled a claim of sexual harassment. I want to bring in the panel, Fox News contributor, syndicated radio host Leslie Marshall. Leslie, good morning to you, and also Fox News contributor Rachel Campos Duffy. And ladies, thank you for your time. Again, you were terrific last week. Very measured, very appropriate. Wanted to bring you back on the same topic. Conyers, by the way, answered his door in Conyers, Michigan, and said he's never settled any harassment complaints with any staff members. On Sunday, Chris Wallace, Fox News Sunday, by the way, this was a BuzzFeed report that claimed that there were settlements that came from a private fund in Congress on behalf of Conyers and others. That's the reporting anyway. Chris Wallace talked about it this way. Listen.
A victim who claims sexual harassment in Congress must wait 3 months to file a complaint. First, submit to 30 days of counseling and another 30 days of mediation, then wait another 30 days to seek a hearing. And Congresswoman, it gets even worse than that, because if there is a settlement, it's paid for by taxpayers, not by the individual member of Congress.
So Mia Love there, the Congresswoman from Utah, she says she's on this and won't accept it from anyone. That was her response. Rachel, how do you find this news, if true, if taxpayers are footing the bill for these allegations?
Yeah. It's outrageous. We talk all the time about transparency in government. There should, be no taxpayer money going to settle or quiet people who have been sexually harassed. But also, we should know who these people are. There was an article today in Politico where Linda Sanchez, a representative from California, said that, she had been harassed once by a former lawmaker and now propositioned by a current member of Congress. She declined to name that person and said that, she didn't think it was helpful. Obviously that's her right to say who it was or wasn't. I don't know if that's a political reason why it's not helpful, but it might be helpful for young women working or applying to work in those offices to know who are these members who are either settling cases or are harassing someone as powerful as Linda Sanchez.
She pretty much said that in her answer. I'm calling them all on the carpet. She told Wallace I think all of them should take responsibility for their behavior. Leslie, go ahead there in L.A.
Well, Rachel, this is a historic day because you and I agree, I think, 100% on at least what has just been said. I think it's horrific, and I had no knowledge of this until Chris's great interview, that we, the taxpayer, were paying for this. And it's interesting because Rachel says, hush money. We had a phrase, war on women. I think we know there has been a war on women, but it was a different type of war, perhaps, than we knew. This is not left or right. This is largely male and female. Certainly there is female, female, male, male. But in addition, Laura Ingraham had said on her show a few nights ago, say the name, name the names. And you know what? We need to hashtag name the names, and I'll tell you why. It can help to prevent this behavior in the future if men know they are going to get caught and that we women are just not going to take it anymore. And I think we're seeing a revolt, a revolution, if you will, of women who, since Adam and Eve, have been oppressed, if you will, in this capacity by men and their power.
You wonder if we're at the beginning of this or the middle or the end, and my guess is it's still the beginning stages. John Boehner, former House Speaker, Rachel, was named in that piece on BuzzFeed. His spokesman, Dave Schnicker, said the following: Speaker Boehner was unaware until receiving BuzzFeed's inquiry, and BuzzFeed is updating the story to that effect, end quote. Speaker Ryan had a statement earlier today, too. We'll look at that now. From Speaker Ryan, this report extremely troubling, he says. Last month, I directed the Committee on House Administration to conduct a full review of all policies and procedures related to workplace harassment and discrimination. It concludes people who work in the House deserve and are entitled to a workplace without harassment or discrimination. How deep could this possibly run, Rachel?
I think we're going to see a lot of revelations, but I think we also might want to talk about another conversation related to this. You know, there are two people in the White House. One of them, the left is quick to point out, has had allegations pointed to them. But there's another person, which is Vice President Pence, who has very strict rules and decorum around the way he interacts with women in a professional setting. And when that came to light earlier in the year, he was excoriated. Mostly by the left for these rules, and there was feminists in the Atlantic, for example, saying that these rules and these decorums about how to interact with women in the office were interfering with women's progress, that they were actually interfering with their advancement, and that they were antiquated and Victorian. And I actually think some of those women ought to rethink, maybe apologize, or maybe even thank Vice President Pence, because I think that he's a man ahead of his time. I don't think this is antiquated. I think we need to rethink the way men and women interact in the office to make sure things remain as professional and safe as possible for women.
I've got to run. I'm out of time. But Leslie, quick comment on all that that Rachel's discussing there.
Can we stop all of the apologies? Apologies don't make sexual harassment better, and I'm sure Mike Pence is a very strong man who really doesn't care about somebody's opinion. And speaking of, we have First Amendment right to our opinion. We don't need to apologize for that. What he wants to call his wife and those choices that he makes. I think we're being attacked because of some of the rhetoric on Islam and Muslim societies where they actually do the same thing. They don't shake hands with a woman. They won't have lunch with a woman and be private with a woman, even in professional settings.
Thank you, ladies. Leslie, Rachel, thank you for your time today. Appreciate it.
You got it.
Thank you, Bill.